What's going on, everybody? FYB presents Wise Word Wednesday, a quick stream to help you get closer to accomplishing your dreams. I'm your host, Joe Spider, and I do represent the fresh. Listen, if you are not already doing so, I'm going to ask that you go ahead and hit that subscription notification so that you can be notified whenever we are going live. As you probably know, we're going live right now on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Um, and we've been doing this every single week for you all for the past couple weeks. And I'm excited for what we have today for our new guest. But it's important for you, if you can, to hit that like button as well, because this allows YouTube and allows Facebook to see that we're actually producing content that you like, and it allows the algorithm to pick up our videos. And it's important for the people that are featured on this show to get their message out there, because there are people who are interested in doing some of the things that the people who are on this episode are interested in or are doing already as a career. So without any further ado, I'm super excited. We have a dope guest for you today. In fact, today's guest has pretty much, I think, if I'm not mistaken, seen every single episode that we've already done. He's participated in the chat. You've probably seen his name. This person is family. This is my brother. I'm welcoming to the stage Mr. Dejon Wilson. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed, brother. How are you?
I am super solid, blessed, and highly favored. Happy to be here. Happy to have you here, a part of the Wise Word Wednesday show. So, for those that may not know, I mean, Dejon, you're a jack of many trades. Could you let people know what you do, or some of the things that you do in regards to your professionalism or profession? There we go.
Right. It might be easier to say what I don't do. What I'm most heavily involved in right now. Well, we got vending, real estate, government contracts, and courier right now. The things I have my hands in on the most right now.
So when you talk about, I mean, those are pretty big things that you just named. And when you talk about being an entrepreneur, what got you started in becoming an entrepreneur, or wanting to have your own business, or just being involved in that aspect? What got you going with that?
It was actually a chain of events for me. So it was going to the job every day, making pretty good money, and then just looking at my check every week and being like, I'm still broke, and not knowing where my money was going, and just being financially irresponsible just because I had money coming in like that all the time. So it was that made me look into books and start reading more and gaining more knowledge. And as I gained more knowledge, and I changed my thought process and the way I thought about things, the way I seen things, I was just like, I don't like being a slave to somebody else. I don't want to have somebody else telling me what to do, where to go, if I can take off days, if I can work. I didn't like that. So I was like, okay, just go and be the boss.
I like that. Obviously, with us being, FYB, right? That falls right in line with, what we stand for, what we do, and the reason, we got started, ultimately to fire our boss, because we didn't, it's that same perspective, right? We don't like being told what to do. We like telling what to do. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's just a different perspective. But you are the CEO of All In, right? And could you talk a little bit about why you chose to go with the name like All In as a part of your company? Like what made you say like All In is the title, and that's what people are going to recognize or go by? That's what I'm going to present to the world.
So for me, All In was a representation of how I handle things. If I'm doing something, I'm going all in. I can't be stopped. I'm gonna get it done. No matter whatever the cost is, if whatever sacrifices I got to make, I'm going all in. Also, it's super catchy. People say it a lot, and it's already something that's marketable, and it's a household phrase.
Got you. Okay. Nice. It's definitely, it rolls off the tongue real easy, right? Because a lot of people are saying it, and it comes in handy in that sense. And so it's easily recognizable and identifiable. I think a lot of people don't understand that when it comes to business, that you have to be able to get something that sticks in people's heads, right? Get something that's common, right? That's why we chose like FYB Presents, because we know that like that it's easy to stick in your head. And there, some people may have a different acronym for what FYB means, right?
That's for sure.
Right. It has a different acronym, but we also know that for that reason, you're going to always remember FYB. You know what I'm saying? And so it really does resonate with people a lot too. So and I think to the immature audience, it may, right, it may be something like they may use the other acronym, right, for it. But
I did.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But our message really is not for the immature. You know what I'm saying? Our message is really for those that are trying to go above and beyond. Now, there are people who are young who can still benefit from the message, but being young and being immature aren't always the same, right? Sometimes people can be young and super mature. Sometimes people can be old and very immature. So the message is for the mature, for those that are able to take it and to use and apply the things that we're showing them to their life. So I definitely love the fact that you chose, All In, because again, it's easily recognizable, identifiable, and it's, you're going to remember it no matter what. Could you talk about how you got started in the vending industry? Because I've seen a lot of different like Instagram videos from a variety of different people that talk about the how the business of vending is very profitable. But could you talk about it as a person who's done it? And obviously I've seen your videos as well. Could you talk about what got you started with the vending business as a whole?
So I started doing it or looking more into it around COVID. So COVID happened. I'm sitting down and I'm trying to figure out ways to make passive money, because at this time I couldn't go to work, which is part of, I don't like being told I can't work. So now I got to figure out something to do, because ain't no man gonna tell me I can't go get money. So I just kept seeing it on Instagram, social media, all over the place. So I started YouTubing and getting information for myself. And I said, man, this can't be that easy, but let me see, let me find out, let me go all in and go get it. And it is easy. It's just tedious. It just takes a lot. It's nothing is hard. You just got to be willing to do what it takes to get it done.
So oftentimes people on social media will talk about how much money they made, right, in regards to their business. But there is, and I talked about this on a previous episode with a different guest. This was on the Ivy League podcast, which we also host, by the way. We in here. But I talked about this. I think this was with the episode with Abass. But people talk about how much money they made in their social media posts or when they talk about how their business is doing. But there's a difference between how much you made and how much you profited. Could you talk about how, like, what was your introduction to the difference between profit and, you know what I mean, and actual income?
So my introduction was the first time I made a real mistake in what I was in the vending.
Ooh.
And I didn't know no better. I just thought, oh yeah, let's do this. So the issue was I was buying, everything kept moving so fast. So I would just buy stuff in bulk and ahead of time. And I was so new, I didn't realize there were seasons for snacks. Ooh. So when that season came around to where that snack wasn't cool, I'm sitting on boxes of it. And around me, food don't last long. We don't worry about the expiration date. Right. So I never even knew chips and candy had expiration date because it never reached it. But then when I was looking at my boxes in my inventory, I'd be like, oh, wait, this ain't right.
Can't put that out.
Can't put that out there. Can't do that. Luckily, Costco was real cool about that. So I didn't lose too much money, but after I looked at everything at the end of the year, the profit was good, but had I not made that mistake, it could have been better.
Right.
So my introduction was like, you know, it was a little slap in the face, like, watch what you're doing.
Okay. And I think that's definitely good for people to know who are interested in going into the vending business, is that there are seasons. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the summertime, certain candy might be very, very popular and they may sell out really, really quickly. But that same candy or that snack may not work too well in the fall or in the spring or in the wintertime when it's super cold.
Yep.
So it's important to know your audience, right? Know your customer and what they you know, what they prefer. And that also, you know, comes with time, right? You have different customers prefer different items. As you go, you know, into different entities, you'll see that, you know,
Yep.
what they want, it differentiate or differs between one and another. So I think that's super important. How do you go about finding where to locate or place your, you know, your vending machines? Because I mean, do you just walk into a building and be like, I'm about to put my vending machine here? Like, how does that work?
So that was how I got my first location.
Mm.
I just walked down the street. I said I was gonna go into every business until I got a yes. And
Mm.
I want to say maybe the third business I walked into was a dealership. I walked in, I had my book with me, had my shirt on, I was looking real professional. So I came in and I was telling what I was there for. Like, hey, I want you guys to I want to offer you guys vending machine services. And they said, what? Oh, we've been looking for you. Come here. So they called, pulled me in, had me talk to the sales manager. He's like, where you been at? We've been looking for somebody to do vending. I'm right here. What you need? Worked out a deal with them. And that's when the first headache began. So, but it was all cool. But yeah, I'll walk into a building and I'll offer vending machine services. If I see that you have good foot traffic, you got a lot of employees, I'm asking you, I'm looking around and canvassing the area for if there's a liquor store, gas station. And to me, those don't really matter because I just beat their prices. And if I'm putting it in there and they got enough employees, the employees don't have to walk far, even if it's not, even if it's just as expensive. Why walk all the way down to the street when you could just pull right into the break room and get yourself a snack and keep going?
Right.
So that's the first method I use. My favorite method is to pay locators and have them do it.
So what's a locator?
So a locator is a person, they usually have a script and they'll see what area you want them in. They'll locate all the businesses in there and they'll just call them on the phone, leave messages, send emails, and talk to whoever's in charge.
So they'll essentially do the footwork for you.
Yep.
To where all you have to do is agree. And I'm assuming, so they take like a certain percentage, or is it just like a flat fee?
So some are flat fees. Everybody I've dealt with is a flat fee.
Okay.
And there's some people who are, it'll depend on the location. I'm also in a group. If they have an app called the vending list, and they'll post locations that they have in certain, they won't tell you exactly what it is. They'll tell you the city and state or whatnot and where it's at, and they'll post the price for that location. And it can be from anywhere up from $200 to $1,000. But those higher price ones have a lot more foot traffic.
Wow. And so what is, if you don't mind talking about, like, what's the most that you've been able to make from one machine in one location?
One machine, one location.
Let's just say, like,
Profit.
yeah, we can say not profit. You could talk about just either, if you want to talk about profit, cool. You maybe if you want to talk, say, in a month, or if you want to do a year, whatever works best. But just what's the most that you've gotten from one location in one machine?
Profit wise, after everything for that machine, I can say $1,000 a month, give or take a couple hundred, depending on the season, but around that number. So that machine by itself in that location.
And that's profit. That's not even just how much you've made in total. That's actual profit.
That's after I take everything out of there.
And so I think it's interesting because, or it's dope because this is $1,000 that you essentially don't have to do anything for. All you have to do is once every, what, do you switch them every week, or is it every month? How often do you go in and check on
So
them?
with that, because it moves so fast, it was once a week for sure. sometimes twice a week, depending on if they liked one certain thing. I would have to just keep putting it in there.
Right.
And it could come down to configuration, because sometimes you can't put a certain item in but one slot because of the machine.
Right.
So if you put it in there and you can only put maybe 3 or 4 and they really like it, you got to keep going.
Right.
You got to keep coming back. So at least once a week, I got to be in there, sometimes 2 times a week. But the machine was fairly big, so I would just stack it up and come back.
So for those who, who are interested in this, I want you to think about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It probably takes you, let's say, an hour of commute time to get to the vending. How long does it take you to get to the vending machine? Let me ask you that. I don't want to estimate.
They're all different.
No, I'm just saying for this, your most profitable one.
Oh, for this one?
For this specific one.
Maybe 5 minutes is right down the street.
Okay, so 5 minutes to get there, 5 minutes to get back. About how long does it take you to stock up the machine?
If it's empty, well, it's always empty. So when
if it's empty.
And when it's empty, anywhere I shouldn't be no more than 1,000. But see, that's not all stocking it. I'm in there talking with the employees. I'm talking with the bosses. I'm speaking to everybody, having conversations. But if we're talking about just work by itself, maybe
just work,
maybe 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes or something like that.
Okay, so we have, let's just aim high. Let's say 45 minutes. So 45 minutes to stock the vending machine, 10 minutes to get there and back. About how much time do you think it takes you to shop for the items that you need to fill this specific machine?
Maybe an hour, depending. If I can get there early, right when it opens, an hour. And I may have to go to 2 different locations depending on if they like certain stuff that week.
Okay.
So let's say about an hour of shopping time, because I got to drive.
So we're looking at about 2 hours of work and let's say if you had to restock it every week, right? Let's say, so that's 10. So let's say maybe 10. About 3 to, let's say 5 hours in total, right? About 5 hours of work will get you $1,000 in a month. And that's profit. So I think people have to understand that this is, and this is just your most profitable one. There are ones that are doing less than that, but they're still consistent, right? Like they're still buying things. And so I think what people have to understand is that this is, when you talk about passive income, which is, money that you're not using your physical time to make, it is super, super huge. And it's consistent, right? Like it keeps going. And the more passive income that you have, the better chance you have to kind of get out of the cycle, right? Of having to physically work for a check that you then spend on the life that you would need to have, right? As opposed to the life that you want to have. So I think that's super dope that you take advantage of it in a variety of different ways. And I want to switch gears here and talk a little bit about the real estate, right? Because you are into real estate. Could you talk a little bit about what you do in regards to real estate?
So as far as real estate, I do what is called the house hacking method. It's basically you buy a multifamily and you stay in one.
So how have you been able to benefit from this house hacking method?
So for me at this time, I don't have a mortgage to pay because the tenants take care of it. So that's an expense that's off my back.
So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this, clearly. So you bought a multi-unit property. You live in that multi-unit property.
I live in one of them, yep.
But you don't have to pay the actual mortgage because your tenant is paying the mortgage for you, which then frees up the need to have to go to work every day to pay that mortgage, right? Because a lot of times people kind of get in this cycle where, they go to work, and I mentioned this a few moments ago, they go to work to pay for the things they need, such as housing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then they pay off their housing and they're like, I'm out of money, so I have to go back to work to be able to pay for the other things that we want. But in reality, they don't make enough, so they just kind of keep going in this cycle to pay for the things that they
Yeah.
need all over
Stay in
again.
the rat race.
And so for you, you're already essentially by having that multi-unit, you had the ability to quit a job if you wanted to. And I don't know if you did quit a job, but I'm just saying you had the ability, if you wanted to say, I don't want to work anymore. I'm good.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to go invest in other things. And that's a unique position to have, because most people have to work.
Right. Right. No, definitely. That, in fact, that's my favorite thing to say. If I'm somewhere I don't want to be, I'm going home. I don't gotta be here. I don't gotta take this from y'all. If I happen to take on a job, if I'm doing freelance work or whatnot, I'll just leave. I don't have to be anywhere. Everything all my necessities are taken care of. Everything else for me at this point is just building blocks, and building on top of what I have. So yeah, that's freeing in itself, just to be able to control your time.
Right. And why was, doing real estate or looking into real estate or owning real estate, why was that important to you as an individual? I mean, I know we talked about the freedom. Was that your sole reason, or was there other things that you had?
Yes. Biggest reason, freedom, freeing up my time, being able to do what I wanted to do. And I feel like for me to really be a man, I needed to own the floors I walked on. You know what I mean? I needed to be in charge of where I could lay my head. Nobody could tell me anything. This is my place. This is my safe space. I can come here and enjoy the fruits of my labor. All of the hard work I put in, I can come here and say, this is where it got me. At least this is where it got me so far. I'm going to go further, but this is where we at now.
So is your plan to continue to, to own more multi-unit, or is this like where you like just want it, this is as far as you're going to go?
Oh no, we doing more multi-units. In fact, the unit I'm in now will be for rent probably beginning or middle of next year, something like, depending on how it goes.
Wow.
But that's the plan, to put everything up and have tenants and have it working as a business. While I'm in it, it can't work as much as of a business as I would like it to be. But as soon as I can get out of here, boom, that's it.
So obviously, when you're in real estate, it comes with issues, right? It comes with problems and struggles. Could you talk about some of those issues or problems that you might have had during your tenure as a homeowner, as a landlord? Could you talk about some of the struggles that you might have had throughout this journey? Because it can be a lot. And I've obviously, like, you and I talk quite a bit, so I know your story and I know some of the things that you've experienced. But what do you feel comfortable sharing in regards to your struggle as an owner?
I'm gonna try to be as transparent as I can with y'all. So the biggest struggle is I had to evict my first tenant, and during COVID. So that right there was a process in itself, because I had never gone through it, and we were in COVID. So going into it, I was like, man, this is just gonna backfire on me. This is not gonna work. I was full of doubt, but I had a good lawyer, and that's why you get good lawyers. That's why they make the money they make, because they know what they're doing. We went to court for it, and so he asked me what I wanted to do. I was like, I want him out of there. So he was like, you sure? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay. So he put it together, and it was a slow process. I'm paying them money, and then I'm calling them every other week trying to see what the status is. But because it's COVID, nobody's calling me back. So I'm getting a little frustrated, but I'm being patient. I learned, just be patient. It'll all work out. Just kick back. You can't do anything else, especially during COVID. So we go into the courtroom, and the first words out his mouth are, so how much time do you need to leave? And I was like, is he talking to me? But he was talking to her, and she was trying to explain her way out of it. He was like, no, how much time do you need to leave? You don't have the money right now, so how much time do you need to leave? And we were in mediation, and she kept, like, oh, well, him and ha. And he said, all right, cool, we going back in front of the judge. We get back in front of the judge. He tell the judge what's going on, lay down the whole situation, and the judge like, well, you got 30 days, so that's the end of that. And it was over just that quick. And I had my mouth open the whole time. I was stunned. They didn't ask me no questions. It's nothing. Just what we doing. This is what's going on, and that's how we handling it. So that right there was the biggest struggle. Period. And I was shitting bricks. It was. I didn't know because I was like, man, she gonna stay. I'm gonna have this freeloader in here. I know she gonna damage the property. It was just crazy. But then when that happened, I was like, oh, I'm always getting the lawyer now. That's all we doing is going straight to the lawyer.
Yeah, you know what's, and I think again, this goes back to the title, right, of All In, is because a lot of people will try to, step their way around it or to try like to figure things out on their own. And one thing that I learned, I was looking up, Julian Gordon, researching some of his information that he has out there. He does a lot of stuff about multi-unit on multifamily housing and stuff like that and real estate out there on YouTube and on his Instagram. Mm-hmm. He talked about the importance of your time. And he's like, you can go in and you can spend 5 hours researching and doing your own work and trying to figure this thing out. And then you can go and do that, present what you found. Like, let's say you spent 5 hours doing research on your computer for court. You can go and present what you found to the judge. And if you did make some mistakes, then you got to go back and you got to reread and re-research and figure that out and then go back to the judge. And if you made some mistakes with that, then you got to go back and just kind of repeat that cycle until you're done. Whereas to when you pay somebody to do it, yes, it costs you money up front, but how much time did you spend trying to research, or would you have spent trying to research all that work? How much time did it cost you, right? Because that's time that you could be dedicating towards going to stock a vending machine, going to look for a company that's interested in having a vending machine. So what you did was you went all in on it up front, right? With your money in regards to paying for a good lawyer who was going to take care of the job. And like you said, you had to be patient. And I think it's very difficult for many of us to be patient when it comes to money because, many people grow up in poverty in this country. And so when you spend money, we're used to like, I spent the money now, so I expect something now. But in the corporate America, it does not work that way. In corporate America, it's you spend your money and then eventually you'll get what you spent in return, hopefully. Right. And so I think it's important for people to recognize that you're going to have to spend if your goal is to be efficient, right? If your goal is to get the job done the best way possible and the fastest way possible. You can do things on your own, of course, right? But it's going to take time and there may be mistakes that you're going to make along the way, which again can be beneficial as well. If you're looking like you're going to be a contractor, well, then it may be easy for you to say, all right, I don't mind making a mistake on the plumbing or making a mistake, when I renovate or things like that, because you're going to be doing this for a long time. But if you're like somebody who's working a full-time job, it might be better for you to just hire a contractor. That way they can do the work. And while you're still working full-time, your money is being spent on this contractor who's going to get the job done. And then you can get that back, reinvest it, and you spent less time on that actual work for yourself.
Yep. That was in fact, that was the exact thing was, I'm from the hood, right? So when I gave my money, I was like, man, what we doing? He say he a lawyer, but I don't know if he a lawyer.
I don't know him like that.
I know you like that, right? And I got him from a referral through a property manager who I was vetting to take over the property. So he said, hey, this is a guy who I use all the time. He's very good. Just give him a call. And he was everything he said he was and more. And that's when that happened. I lived in that space to pay people to do what they do. Right now, it's a little bit different as I have progressed in business. Now it's hard to find people that want to do what they say they do for money. Those people are hard to find. And sometimes when you find them, they really not as good as advertised.
Right.
But their price don't reflect that. So you got to take the good with the bad sometimes.
Yeah. It's definitely like a lot of people spent more time on their graphic design for their flyer or they for their business card than they actually did with the work that they supposed to be doing. But it's all good.
Right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying? It's
right.
it's trial and error.
You got to make it make sense. But that's all entrepreneurship is. Sometimes it's trial and error, getting in there and figuring it out, and that's what I'm good at. That's why it's all in, because I'm good at going all in and figuring it out. A lot of times I wish I didn't have to, but sometimes you got to. So
No, for sure. And could you you might have touched on it a little bit. And I again, like I said, I know you, so I know this, but I want people to understand. When you are facing challenges, difficult times, what keeps you motivated? So obviously you got into the vending industry during COVID. This is a time where like the world as we knew it ceased to exist for a minute. And
yep,
so a lot of people were in struggle, and a lot of people, I mean, 40 million unemployed people at the time, over a million people lost their lives due to this COVID disease that was being spread. And took it upon yourself to begin more into the or go dive deeper into the entrepreneurial field. What keeps you or what kept you motivated when you face these difficult times throughout your life or throughout the professional world of an entrepreneur?
so confidence for me is key, and I've always had confidence. Resilience is something that I needed to build upon, and through fitness, I was able to build upon it through that. Doing bodybuilding shows, powerlifting, and going through those things helped me build my resistance. And then also being in the military helps build your resilience. So I went through that, and what I took from those three things is as long as you keep going and keep moving, you're not gonna lose. Soon as you stop, you dead and it's over. So don't quit, keep going, be consistent. Even if you're not being consistent, just keep going when you're going. Don't stand still. Keep moving. You can't lose. You've been winning this long, and winning is waking up every day and being able to keep competing. So just keep competing, keep going. So when things got tough, everything ends.
Mm.
You won't be in pain for long. You'll be in pain and sacrifice for a certain amount of time. It may seem like forever, but in terms of your life, it's probably really that much. Right. And you're going to get through it. If you're consistent with it, you're going to get through it. The bad times are going to pass, and you're going to be where you want to be, or you're going to be in a better position that you thought you were going to be in. But never lose sight of what you're trying to do and get to it.
I love that. And yeah, it's important to realize that every day that you wake up is another opportunity to get towards your goals, to get
Exactly.
one step closer. And I think, a lot of people think that, success is linear. Like it's like straight pew, like I start my thing and then I get there. And it's really, really not like that. Success it's a very volatile path, right? Like you will have some really, really high highs and you will have some really, really low lows, but the focus or the emphasis is to keep going, because even if you have a low, because it's a day that's passed, you're one day closer towards getting closer to that high, right?
Exactly.
And I think something that I've just learned in regards to the life and in regards to the field of entrepreneurialism, I don't know, whichever one
Entrepreneurship.
of those, entrepreneurship, there we go. The one of the things that I've recognized is that I don't get too high and I don't get too low on the highs or the lows, right? Like even though like I may be having the greatest time in regards to like financially, I may be like, yo, I'm at a win right now.
Right.
I do not like stay with that, because I'm like, now that I'm up, let me see how I can put some of this aside to where when I'm down, I can still survive. You know what I'm saying? Or
Exactly.
I can still make it happen. And so, and when
Yep.
I'm low, when I'm having down, where it's just like, yo, this expense here, it costs how much? Like, I gotta do what? Come
Exactly.
on, bro. Like I've gotten to the point where it's like I don't get too down, because I'm like, yeah, you know what? Jay-Z has this or I think Weezy has this thing where he's like, it costs to be the boss, well, then I guess I gotta pay it, right? Or
Right.
Jay-Z says, everybody's bosses till it's time to pay for the office, to them invoices separate the men from the
Hmm.
boys, right? So it's like
Hmm.
you can't say you want to be a boss. You can't say that you want to have, sole responsibility of your life. You can't say
Mhm.
that, I don't want to work for anyone. I want to be the person to do all to write all the checks. And then when it's time to write the check, you complaining about the check that you got to write. But that's what being an entrepreneur is.
Yep.
Entrepreneur is being responsible for the business, including the financial responsibility. And so it's important that when you consider going into this field, you understand that there are going to be highs and there are going to be lows, but you have to stay confident in yourself that
Yep.
regardless of how high it gets or regardless how low it gets, at the end of the day, you're in the right position and you're going to do something great, but it's going to be a struggle at times.
Most definitely. You gotta. So for me, I'm a little different. I want all the smoke. I want all the problems. I want to be a problem solver. They pay problem solvers. They don't
Mm-hmm.
pay people who don't come up with solutions. The
Right.
problem solvers make the big bucks. So my mindset is be a problem solver. If there's an issue, figure out a solution.
Absolutely. And so there was another business that you said you're into hauling, right? Was that what you said you're
Oh,
into?
couriers,
Couriers. I'm
courier
sorry.
service.
Couriers. Could
Yep.
you talk about what courier services is and what got you involved in that?
Courier service is pretty much like Uber Eats. I pick up an item and I take it somewhere else. Right. So how I got involved in that was through same like everything else, social media. It kept popping up. This young lady, Leela Brown, I took her course and she explained it. She broke it down, and I was like, "Oh, I'm all in. Let's go."
Mm,
So I took her advice. I'm actually in her groups, and I'm just building upon that, trying to get bigger contracts. I want to get to the point to where I'm not driving anymore.
right.
Right. So right now I'm doing all of the driving, I'm doing all of the loads, and it's stuff that's here and there, but out there searching for more contracts, being more consistent. Same thing. Instead of walking into buildings finding vending machines, now I'm sending emails. So,
Mm.
but sometimes when I walk into these buildings and I pick something up, I'll see if they got vending machines. I'm gonna catch them hand over fist.
Wow, I love that, and so you seem to be the type of person who is looking for any and every way to be able to come up. Is that sound about like in regards to the business wise that can kind of help you elevate to that next level as an entrepreneur? Does that sound about right?
Yes, like that's fun for me. Like I said, problems, issues,
Yeah.
concerns. That's fun for me to tackle and have to figure out those things. So if there's some way I can be of value, I will be.
So, if you don't mind, what's the worst mistake you feel like you've ever made, whether it be in life, personally, or in regards to the business or one of your many businesses? What's the worst mistake you've ever made?
So as far as business goes, investing with the wrong people, not doing enough research.
Mm,
Sometimes when you go all in and you're not scared to lose, you end up losing a lot, right?
mhm.
So you got to be careful with that. Um, ooh, mistakes. I don't want to call anything a mistake. I want to call it a lesson.
Right, right.
But I will say the biggest mistake was not being more diligent about the people I allowed around me when I was younger. Right?
Mm,
Like having the wrong people around you, people that don't mean well, people that don't deserve to be in the same space as you is can be pivotal, especially at a young age because you're impressionable, you don't know as much, you're still trying to figure stuff out. So that right there is just allowing the wrong people to be around me.
so how did you learn to have the right people, as opposed to the wrong people? Or how did you recognize that you had the wrong people around you in the first place?
So for that, I think it's really obvious. Like you recognize what they doing. You
Right.
see the negative coming from them. And I'm the type of person you only got to slap me once, and I'm gonna walk away. Anything after that is gonna be a bigger problem, right?
Right, right, right.
So as soon as I see that what you're doing isn't positive for me to be around, I'm gone. I don't want to be around you. We don't got to do this no more. No disrespect. We don't got to take it no further. That's just it for me, right? Because
Yeah.
right, I want to be around people that's doing good. Even if you're not doing good by me, I want you to be doing good by you. If you don't care about you, I know you don't care about me. So I'm gonna
Right.
just leave you to be by yourself, and I'm gonna go somewhere where everybody care about everybody. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think yeah, man, that's critical, right? They say that you are the sum of your surroundings, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you surround yourself with a bunch of losers, you're going to be a loser. Right? If you surround
Right, for
yourself with
sure.
a bunch of winners, you're going to be a winner. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
important to be aware of who you surround yourself with. And it doesn't just mean that because they're losers, you are going to be a loser in the sense of like there's nothing you can do. But what happens is you rub off on each other, right? Your
Yep.
habits rub off on each
Yep.
other. Like I can't hang out with a person that doesn't be active in some way, shape, or form. Like if all you
Right.
do is go home, is sit at the house and play video games all day, that's
Yeah.
it. Even if you were making money from those video games, I
Yeah.
still am like, I can't kick it with you because
Yeah. What we
there's
gonna talk about?
times what we gonna talk about when I'm trying to talk about doing this or going out or doing anything like that, or hey, we should do this. You like, I'm sorry, I got to study this Call of Duty, and I'm like,
Right.
and
Right.
again, and I play video games. I
Yeah. Yeah.
Madden, 2K,
Yeah.
I play all of them.
There's nothing wrong
UFC,
with that.
right? There's nothing wrong with it, but how are you going to benefit my life, right? Because I know that I play games, but I'm not good enough to make money from these games. And
Right.
I'm not
Right.
trying to study video games and practice video games enough to be able to
Mm-hmm.
make money because that's not my calling. I've always been the dude to go ahead and put the video game on All Pro or to put the video game on Rookie because
Yep.
I'm like, I don't plan on making, especially 2K. I'm not about to make 2K a lifestyle for me, bro.
Not
Like I
at
don't
all.
have time to be. I just want to hop on, use my Golden State Warriors, bust a couple of threes, and
Right.
then I'm
Right.
out. You
Yeah.
feel me?
No.
Like I'm off the game for a week. I'm off the
I
game for
feel
2
you.
weeks. You feel me?
I ain't been good at 2K since AI was on the cover, so I understand.
You feel me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like so I can't be around a person who all they do is video games all day. They have to have some other type of life. Whether you're active in the gym, then
Right.
okay, we could talk about going to the gym or workouts or maybe changing up some proteins or something like that. We could talk about it.
Right.
But if that's all you do, then I can't. But it doesn't mean that people who play video games are losers because again, there are people who make a lot of money. They got a whole NBA 2K draft that they
Right.
do,
Yeah.
right?
League. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A whole
Yeah.
league. So clearly, there's an avenue for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hold on. Relax. Sorry, my dog is over here barking at nothing. Leave it.
No, you good. I had to change mine up. I knew he was gonna trip.
Man. So obviously there's money being made, but I'm saying that if like birds of a feather flock together, right? Like
Yep.
if you're big on video games, then you should kick it with people who are big on video games as well, right? Because
Right.
then you can kind of iron sharpens iron. You can learn from those individuals on how to sharpen your skill set to be better. Because the goal is to be the best that you can possibly be in your field.
Right. Right. I definitely agree with you a whole 100% on that.
Yeah, and I don't like kicking it with people who cool with just being average. And,
Yeah.
and,
Right.
and it doesn't mean that average is bad. It just
It's not.
means that
Somebody
because
got to be average.
average is average. Like literally,
Yeah.
if you take 100 people, right? Like you gonna have the average, right? Like they all do something similar. What I'm saying is that being okay with being average means you don't want anything better for yourself. You don't feel
Right.
like
Right.
you're content with just having the basics. And there's nothing wrong with being content with having the basics. I'm just saying for me, I'm trying to go above and beyond. I'm trying to level up in every aspect,
Exactly.
whether it's the YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whether it's what I'm saying, like whatever it is that the Wise Word Wednesday show, I'm trying to level up in every single way. And so it's important for me to surround myself with people who are trying to level up as well. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be the best in all these different categories, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be the best in all these different categories, but I might be the best number one motivational speaker, like in 15, 20 years. But because of being the number one in that, it's going to allow me to be able to trickle down into these other areas that I'm good at, but I'm not great. Does that make sense?
Oh no, that makes perfect. I understand exactly what you're saying, brother. You ain't got to explain it to me. I get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, even if you play video games, be the best video game player, be the best videographer because you got to record what you're doing. Be the best at that. Don't just sit there and just play video games for nothing.
Right.
Right. Do something for real with that, and then take that and do something else with that. Because your purpose can't just be to sit in front of the screen and watch virtual people all day.
Right.
That's just wild.
Right. Right. So last couple of questions I want to ask before we get out of here. What is one piece of advice that you can give to others that helps separate them in their journey in regards to entrepreneurship or business, or in regards to in life?
Tough times don't last. Tough people do. Just keep going, man. You're not gonna lose as long as you keep going. That's it. You just not. You can't lose as long as you keep pursuing your goal. As soon as you quit, that's when you lose.
Tough time don't last, tough people do. Wow. I mean, that's real short and sweet and to the point, right? Like the end of the day, like we mentioned earlier, you're gonna have these downs, you know what I'm saying? But the goal is to make it through it, right?
Yep.
Make it through it, because just like, when you're going to the gym and you work out, like your first time in the gym ever, you probably didn't bench 300 pounds. But
No.
you know what I'm saying? But after your first year, maybe you got to 225. And then
Right.
after your second year, you got to 250. And
Yep.
then your third year, you was 275.
Yeah.
And then your fourth
Yeah.
year, you like, yo, I'm hitting 300 pounds. But it took
Yep.
you 4 years to get there. But
But
if
you
you
there.
stop in year one, right before if you stopped at 135, he was like, oh, it's too heavy, I'm not doing that no more.
Not
Then
gonna get no.
you'll never get to the 300 pounds. So it's the same thing in life. Like when you're going these tough times, like, yes, it's gonna be times where you're frustrated, you're sad, I always say this in different shows that I'm on and different times that I've had people on. Like Nipsey Hussle said, I've been through every emotion. I went through
Yep.
every emotion in this journey. That means happy. That means excited. That
Yeah.
means feeling like you're on cloud nine. That means
Mhm.
great. But it also means bad. It means sad. It
Yep.
means felt terrified. It means like I honestly like didn't want to do this anymore. I felt like quitting. But
Yeah.
you keep going regardless of how you feel. You still take one step forward in
That's
the
it.
direction that you want to head to, because even if you got a 1 mile journey, guess what, now it's one step less. But
Yep.
if you stop, you never get to see what's on the end of that journey.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. And the last thing I'm going to ask you is, as you know, we've been doing Wise Word Wednesdays each and every week since October, I believe, of 2017. So we are approaching year 7 of
Mhm.
providing the people with a Wise Word Wednesday every single week for 7 years. I'm super
Right.
excited about it. But this is really, and that's why we made Wise Word Wednesday the show, is because we wanted to give people an extended version of that and an
Yeah.
opportunity to learn just a little bit more from what we have to say. Because sometimes, like, I'll record a Wise Word Wednesday and I'll be like, ooh, I wish I could have went more in depth with that. I wish I could have talked more about that a little bit longer. So this is what we allow people to do for us instead, right? So that's what we can come on here and have those good conversations. But the question that I have for you is, if there was one wise word that you could leave the audience with, and you kind of already did already with the tough
Right.
times don't last, tough, but tough people do. But what, and it could be about anything in life. What's the
Mhm.
one wise word that you would leave the people with?
Be intentional.
Mm,
When you do things in life, do them with a purpose, or at least do them after you've thought about them. So move with intent, move with purpose, be intentional. Life too short to just be doing things for no reason. Think about what you're doing and try to always make the best decision with the information you have at the time.
mm. I love that. I love that, especially that last part, right? Make the best decision with the information that you have at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, oftentimes, right, we even have this, I see this a lot in today's society, right? Like
Yeah.
we're going back and we're criticizing how people behaved 20 years ago,
Right.
15 years ago,
Right.
10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, at that time, that
Mm-hmm.
information was relevant, right?
Yep.
It was relevant to that time. But we are judging people now based on, we should be judging people now based on what we have now. Like,
Right.
how do you behave now? Right?
Exactly.
What do you do now? Like, I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that history doesn't matter. Of course it's
Right. Of
important,
course.
but I'm saying, you should do the best that you can based on the information that you have in front of you, so that way you can be a better person.
Right.
Man, today's so I titled today's show, the episode is today is all in on everything.
At all
Because
times.
I know that, that's, with your business being, for all in for sure. It's like, I think I understand what it means to go all in, to give
Right.
everything that you have towards what you feel is your purpose, towards what you feel is the goal, or towards what you think is important to you. And so I'm 100% with you on the all in. Yeah, it's a blessing, man. Thank you so much for being on the
And,
show. And really just thank you for your constant participation. You know what I mean? Every single week I see you on the show, you'll be leaving comments and all that.
yep.
And so for me, I think it means a lot, because one, you help the algorithm for sure for our YouTube, our Facebook, and things like that. But then two, it just, it's always good when you have somebody that supports consistently. You have
Oh,
that
for sure.
consistent support.
I
So it just,
wholeheartedly want to see y'all win. So whatever I got to do, if it's as little as leave a comment and a like and a share, that's easy. I can do that all day, twice
no
on Sunday.
doubt. For sure, for sure. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. If you are not already, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. When you're seeing this, I know this is showing live right now, but this is actually pre-recorded, due to I got some schedule conflicts tomorrow, so maybe today, so I couldn't do it live. But we're recording this live, but you're gonna see it already. So I appreciate you. And then also, Dejan, where can they follow you on any social media, just in case?
All in enterprise.
Mm.
Everything is all in. All in vending, all in enterprise clothing. We all in. Look out for all in courier division. That's coming too.
There you go. There you go. So FYB presents Wise Word Wednesdays. I'm gonna leave y'all like I usually do with a we fresh, and I love you.